Hello, 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 my friends. So listen, I'm having some technical difficulties, and I couldn't even tell if this thing was spelled, but I'm trying to set up my camera here. I've been on this for many, many minutes, trying to get this working. Ha! And I want to talk to you today for Thrive Thursday, for is Facebook Live Thrive Thursday here in our group, coaches and holistic practitioners who change the world. Trying to figure out how to, hey, Daniela is here. So thrilled that you're here. I'm trying to get a good screenshot here so that so I can actually talk to you and get this going for today. So I'm going to talk today about how a breathwork facilitator used the 5 stages of heart-based conversations to get new clients and how you can do the same. If you are here watching me live, let me know with a hashtag live, and if you are here watching the replay, let me know with a hashtag replay. So this simple method that I'm about to share with you works with your values rather than against them, thank goodness. And I'm excited to tell you how one of our members was actually able to use this system you're about to learn to go from earning about $3,000 a month to $14,500. So, and this was just in 1 month. So if you are looking for your potential clients to, hold on, before I say that, I'm gonna see if I can fix this so that you don't have that weird, I look a little like cartoony or something. So if you're looking to have your potential clients say yes, then you are going to need to have heartfelt conversations that feel good to you, that feel good to your potential clients, where everybody walks away excited about maybe working together, and that you're more likely to get a yes. So when Breathwork Facilitator and nonprofit owner and Breathwork trainer Pam Savory first used our heart selling templates, this one that you're about to use, here's what she had to say. She said, I was just waiting for people to call me to book a session, and I was only making around $3,000 each month. And when I learned the heart selling conversation template, I couldn't believe how easy it was. That is what she said. So what is heart selling? Well, heart selling is an inspiring conversation that leads to action, and we are going to be talking about that today. And these are really about showing your potential client that you're deeply interested in supporting them and building that trust and relationship so they are more likely to say yes. So these 5 stages are going to help you with staying in balance. Like if we look at heart on one end of the spectrum and sales on the other end of the spectrum, and I mean like icky sales, right? When we can actually come into balance in the middle where we're able to sell with heart, you can be in balance, people will say yes, and you will not feel awkward or uncomfortable in these conversations. So that's really what heart selling is all about. So let's talk about stage 1. There are 5 stages to every heart selling conversation. And in stage 1, you're going to open the conversation. So this is about, the intention of this stage is to ensure that your potential client feels connected to you, that hopefully they feel lucky to talk with you, and that they are, that you just might be able to help them. And you are setting the stage for them to potentially become your client, but that is not how we open the conversation. We just simply open the conversation to connect and to, get in relationship with someone without an agenda. So whenever we're opening a conversation, that is where we should be coming from. By the way, if you are joining me live, let me know with a hashtag live. I see Sue is here, Daniela is here. So happy that you're here. Let me know you're here because I can see that chat coming through. And so there are really 3 stages to opening the conversation. And you might want to take some notes on these. So the first one is we use a warm opening and potentially even an acknowledgement or most likely a compliment to have this person feel appreciated. Again, it's too early to understand if they're going to sign up or not. So that's not even where we are at in the conversation at this point. So the second stage is you're going to get curious. Jack just joined me, if you heard my dog Jack. You're going to get curious about them, dive into their world, understand more about this person, show them that you are truly interested in them. And the third part of this is you're going to share what you do. Hopefully somebody will say, hey, what do you do? And you get to share about what you do. This really works well for an in-person conversation now that things are opening up and you likely get to go to networking events and mixers and live events and you can meet people there. This is how you have these conversations to open it up without any necessary, any agenda of what might happen next. Now, if you're doing this in chat or on social media, it's a different template, a different deal. We'll be talking about that in the future, so hang in there with me. Also want to say hello to Mew is here and Sanela is here. Am I saying your name right, dear? I've just really appreciated engaging with you lately. Thank you. All right, so that is stage 1, where you're opening the conversation. You're using a warm opening to acknowledge, connect, compliment if that feels more appropriate. You are getting curious about them, and you are sharing what you do. And yes, you want to share it in a way that gives you credibility. For those of you who've done our Client Attraction Code course, then you know very well that we combine credibility and what you do in a way where people are like they lean in and say like, what? Hey, I know somebody who needs to work with you, or I need to work with you. And that's really what we're going for in your what do you do statement. We call it a Client Attraction Code statement. So that's stage 1. In stage 2, it's time to find out what they're looking for and to really determine if it might be a good match for you to continue talking about the possibility of working together. Now, you need to do this in a way that doesn't feel weird or schwarmy or like you're trying to guide the conversation into that direction. But this is, again, if you've been curious about them and you've learned some things about their life, you might have heard some things that you might be able to help them with, right? So how do we work with that? Oh my gosh, I have this funny thing where I have my phone on so that I could talk with you without having to hold it, and it's like a little bit shaky, but you probably don't care. All right, so stage 2 is really time to build trust and to hopefully that they feel safe enough to share more about the things that they are dealing with in their life. Because, hey, I imagine the work you do is rather intimate. Yes? Let me know. Yes, my work is intimate. Like, you're working with people deeply to help them go through things that they're struggling with or that they're having a hard time getting through, that they haven't been able to work through themselves. And it really takes a level of humility for your potential clients to actually acknowledge that they're dealing with those things. That's why it's so important to really, build this trust in this stage. So stage 2 is about finding out what they're looking for. We want to spend a couple of minutes, 1 to 2 minutes, sharing what's called your hero's journey story. This is the story about why you care so much about the work you do. I could spend hours on this conversation alone. I won't. By the way, if you would like to see a video that talks about how to share your story, just drop the word story for me and I'll make sure to get that to you, because I'm not going to be able to go into detail. But this is really sharing the story of why you care about the work you do. Maybe you've been through a lot of what they are going through. You can share the story. It's done in a very specific way that is designed to have them lean in and be more interested in working with you. Now, if they or someone they know struggles with the problem that you can help solve, then you want to stay in your heart and you want to move through working with our 5 elements of heart selling. This is based on the energy of the conversation. For those of you who've been to our Client Attraction Summit, we go deeply into the 5 elements of heart selling. And this is about really, being in your heart, being connected, and moving through, I'm giving you a structure of the 5 stages that we go through, kind of usually in a little more linear format. But the 5 elements of heart selling are really that more holistic model and paying attention to the energy of the conversation. Is the potential client leaning in? Are they leaning out? How do you have them authentically lean in so they really feel good and connected and want to hang out with you more? Because that's really what them becoming a client is about, right? Them getting to spend more time with you. So we use our 5 elements. And during this time, when we discover that they have the issue, the problem that you can help them solve, we want to show up with compassion. We also want to really ask some questions that have them lean in more, encourage their desire for the solution they want, encourage their desire to get out of the situation that they're in. And again, this is nothing about being manipulative. This is I think of it like this. If they were actually your client already, you would ask questions like, tell me more about that, or what do you want instead? And again, there's a script for this. I'm not going to go into it, or a template for this of the types of questions to ask. but they really are being interested in like where they are and where they want to be. And so this is really about finding out what they're looking for. Now, once you've determined that, you know, you've had that compassionate listening and you're not trying to solve the problem for them right there. This is not about like start doing the work on someone right there. As a matter of fact, that's such a big mistake. One of our members, Jackie Simpson, told me that before she met us here at Thrive, that she would go to these events and conferences and places where she would meet people, and she's an energy healer. And somebody would say something was going on and she would just like start pulling cords. And so a couple of things about that. So one, get consent. Like we got to have consent, right? And every step of the way in the things that you do and the conversations that you have. Two, rather than doing the work with someone or coaching them right there to get that problem solved, let's move into a conversation about how you might be able to help. And that moves us on to stage 3, which is to share a resource. That resource is often you and some next step that they can have in working with you. We like that resource, and it's our highest recommendation, that your resource will be a free or low-cost consultation. During that free or low-cost consultation, then you have the conversation about working together in a package or a program or whatever it is that you have to offer. By the way, if you don't already have a copy of our Get Clients Free Consultation, if you drop the word consult, I will send that to you. This is like a whole system that we're kind of meshing together, and I'm doing the overview, but I want to make sure that you have some good resources for this. So if you ask if they or someone they know struggles with the problem that you solve, and they say that they are struggling with them, then again, we do that hard. I'm sorry, we're moving back into stage 3, aren't we? So then we move into our, sharing that resource. And what we're going to do here is inspire your potential client to step into the future that they say they want. And if they're willing to commit to it. And the thing is that you can do this, like one of the things that I love so deeply are stories. Because a story really has people see what's possible for themselves in a way that teaching does not. So you get that? Like when you share your own story, you're building a relationship in a certain way where people understand that you get them, you know what they've been through, they believe that you can make a difference for them. And then this is another type of story, though. I love to use client success stories here. Because when you hear a client success story, you understand that it's not just, that your potential client isn't just understanding that you have been through what they're going through and you understand their situation, but also that you've had other people that have gone through the process with you and have had some success. So it really builds possibility and hope for them. So for example, in this conversation, we're going to be talking about how Pam Savory used this template to go from having pretty typically $3,000 months to having a $14,500 month in 1 month. And she keeps going, like she's continuing to have like these really, really rockin' months. And one of the things that she did is she used these heart selling templates that I'm talking about here. She had conversations with potential clients. She booked consults. And during those consults, she sold packages to people that were interested in working with her. And so these very 5 stages that I'm talking with you about right now are the stages that she used. And so and she said it was easy because it was all right there for her. So I'm able to use that story to really show you that this content that I'm teaching really does work and it matches. And so can you create a client success story, even a bank of client success stories that show that what you help people with, people have gotten results, and you can inspire people that they can have those results too. So before we actually get into the story, there are 3 parts of it. First, we have to get permission. Again, we need to get consent every step of the way. We want to be paying attention if people are leaning in or leaning out. If you just launch right into a client success story in a private conversation without getting permission to share that story, people will feel like it was launched upon them, right? Like put upon them, as opposed to that they said yes to that story, to hearing that story. So you want to get permission, and again, it won't seem salesy if you get permission, and it'll be about inspiration, right? So then you share your story, and the client success story should really be no more than like 30 to 60 seconds long. It should exemplify how you were able to help somebody solve the problem that your potential client has and get to the other side. That's really what it's about. And I like it when you can include some details, like something specific about emotion, or if you are a business coach, then it would be something specific about how much money somebody made. So for example, instead of saying they made $10,000 a month, more than $10,000 a month, you could say they made $11,532 per month, in 1 month. That really it gives credibility to the story when the details are there, the emotion is there. So again, that's another thing that I could share. And then we have something called the inspiring truthful results statement, because here's the thing. You cannot guarantee that everybody's going to get the same results that this client in this story got, right? You can't guarantee that, because the reality is that your clients have to do the work. You're going to provide the guidance, you're going to provide the healing, you're going to do the work, but you're not going, you're going to do the work that's required on your part, like what you promised. But they have to do the work in their own life. Would you agree? Let me know with a #yes if that is true for you, that you don't necessarily do the work for them, but that they are responsible for really getting the results when it comes down to it. So since that's the case, I'm going to give you a statement that you can say here that both positions the results as like, these are possible and I'm going to be here for you. And it also lets your potential client know that they are responsible for doing the work. So it's really fair. You're setting expectations, and they're not expecting that you're going to come in and like fix them, right? At least most coaches and holistic practitioners are not there to fix people. So the statement goes like this. You can say something like, I can't promise that you'll get those results I just talked about, but I have seen many of my clients do it. So for example, when I just shared the story about Pam, if I was in a private conversation with you and we were talking about your business and how you are struggling to get clients and you're not really quite earning enough money and you're not really sure how to have clients in a heart-based, like how to get clients in a heart-based way, because most of the stuff that you've seen just feels salesy and doesn't feel aligned and authentic to you. I could share Pam's story, and right after I shared it, I could say, I can't promise that you're going to go from $3,000 to $14,500 in 1 month, but I've seen a lot of our clients do really, really well and like get these kinds of results when they apply the templates right away. See how that works? Now it's like I'm still saying this is possible for you. You can have it, and you have to do the work. One of the other things I might say is like, I'm going to do everything in my power to help you get those results, but you really have to show up and do the work if you want to get those kinds of results. So we're just really setting clear expectations and, and not promising things that you can't deliver or that you don't deliver. So I hope this makes sense. And thank you so much, Cassandra and Sanela, for participating and answering in this Facebook Live. By the way, if you're watching the replay, go ahead and, play along. I come back, I look at the comments, and I see some of the things that you are thinking about and doing about and writing, and I'm happy to respond to any questions that you might have. All right, so we just had stage 3, which was to share a resource. So if they are leaning in at this point, if they're interested in what you have to say, we move on to stage 4, which is to see if you're a match. It's to really have a conversation to decide if it is a match to work together potentially. So the intention of this stage is to increase the likelihood that your potential client will say yes to the invitation that you're going to make in our next stage, right? So you are discovering if what you have to offer is a match for what they are looking for to support them to get this result. So it's much more likely that if they're really interested in getting this result, that they're going to be a lot more likely to show up for the consult and to say yes when they are there. So there are 3 parts of the stage. These all stages have like 3 parts to them, right? So the first one is to get curious about everything you've talked about so far and how that all sounds to your potential clients. So let them share what they're present to while you gauge how much are they leaning in or how much are they leaning out. The second thing is that we ask one of the magic questions. Now here at Thrive, we have many magic questions. And these questions are really designed to help your potential client lean in, to help them be interested in working with you, and to help them understand more about themselves in the process of that conversation. I love these magic questions. They really are coaching type conversations. So if you're already a coach, these will be really familiar to you. If you are not, and you're a holistic practitioner who doesn't do coaching, just taking on these kinds of questions will actually help you become a better practitioner as well as become better at getting clients. So let's talk about this, one of these magic questions. If we were to work together, what would you see yourself getting? If we were to work together, what would you see yourself getting? So this allows you to discover more about if they're interested, if they're leaning in, and it really creates space for them to start to ask questions and for you two to decide if it's a match. And then the third section here is of this, the third part of this stage is to actually invite questions directly. This is especially important if your potential client hasn't raised any questions in the conversation when you started talking about the work that you do. And the focus here is really to address questions that they haven't yet communicated. We actually want to invite them to ask questions. So you can actually say, do you have any questions? What a great question. Do you have any questions? And that allows people, your potential client, to ask more questions about the work that you do. And there are a myriad of questions that they could ask here we're not going to get into. So then we move on to stage 5, which is to ask for the next step. It's really about making an invitation here. So in this stage, it's like whatever is that most logical next step for this potential client. Again, in most cases, we're recommending the free or low-cost consultation. And at that consult is where you can invite them into a package of sessions or a group program. And so again, 3 important parts of this. First, we like this template, this little question. Somebody says, how much do you charge? Because that's normally going to be a question that they would ask at this stage if they are really interested in working with you. And thank goodness they're asking that question. It means they're interested. So you might say, I charge blank per hour, but I'd really love to support you. And so I'd like to offer you a, free or low-cost consult. We want to give it a cool name. I'm actually covering that, I think, next week in a video. As my gift to help you move toward blank result. How does this sound? So you're actually you're telling them how much you charge per hour, but you're willing to spend some time with them and offer them a free consultation. And again, we'll give you actually 4 keys to naming your consult next week. So hang in there for that. And then once if they actually say they're interested, now we need to set expectations so they don't think you're just showing up to give free coaching or healing during this session. And you're actually going to tell them that here's how the session is going to go. And one of the expectations that you want to manage is that you are going to have a conversation about continuing to work together if it seems like it's a good match. And then last, you handle the logistics. You get things scheduled. Right now everybody runs around with their phones in their pockets, and so might as well just go ahead and get that scheduled right then and there. Let's get you on my schedule. And the thing is that when just by the way, we don't want to invite people to schedule until they've actually said yes to this consult, because that would be assumptive and that's not hard selling. So here's the thing is after Pam learned these 5 stages, she immediately reached out to somebody who had sent her referrals in the past and asked if she knew anyone who might be interested in her work. And then she used these 5 stages with the people that were referred to her to invite them to book a consult. And during the consult, she invited them into a package. And I just love it. One of the things she said is that she was already really good at deeply listening, but she said, are you kidding me? Make an offer? I never even thought of that, right? So going into the consult where you're actually offering a package or a program or whatever it is that your offer is was really life-changing for her. And so she made her offer doing those heart-selling conversations, and that's how she got to that first, going from $3,000 in a month to $14,500 in a month. So these 5 stages are a really, really good start for you. I've also given you some resources. If you're jumping on late, make sure to go back and listen. And if you have any questions about anything you've heard so far today, go ahead and drop them in the chat for me. I would be happy to answer your questions. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Charlotte Jacobs signing off because your people are waiting for you. Bye-bye, everyone.